What's going on, guys? Kalipa's Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G and going over what kind of value it provides in 2021. Now, before we go any further, I do want to remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. And that being said, let's get into the video. So this phone has a 6.6-inch TFT display with a 90 Hz refresh rate, a resolution of 1080p, a PPI of 399, an aspect ratio of 20:9, and a screen-to-body ratio of 82.3%. Despite this screen-to-body ratio being a little bit lower than a lot of Samsung Galaxy A series phones, the bezels don't really look very thick. I think it's really just because of this little part right here that makes the screen to body ratio a little bit lower, because overall the screen does look nice and the phone looks decently sleek and modern. It doesn't look chunky like you would expect with a phone that has really thick bezels, so I really just think it's that bottom part here. And then for the front-facing camera, we do have a water drop notch, which I'm not a big fan of water drop notches. I never have been. They don't really look very good in comparison to the hole punch. So I do wish that they kept the hole punch design like the Samsung Galaxy A52 has, but unfortunately they added this. It's not too bad though compared to other water drop notches. It's pretty unintrusive, so no problem there. By the way, this front-facing camera is 8 megapixels. Overall, I would say the phone has a pretty nice design. It's not too thick. It is a little bit thicker, but that's pretty expected because most of these Samsung Galaxy A series phones of this generation have had pretty much the same design, so it's nothing new. So again, it really doesn't surprise me at all, and I don't really mind it. The back actually has a really cool design, I think, and it looks a lot higher end than some of the other Samsung Galaxy A series phones. For storage, we got 128 gigabytes of internal storage with micro SD card expansion, so that's really good. Whether you're an average user who doesn't do a whole lot with your phone, or you're a power user who has lots of apps, lots of photos and videos, that sort of thing, either way, this is going to be good to have this much storage, because even if you don't think you need it, you might, and it's better to have it in that case. Plus, the size of apps and the system information and everything are all getting bigger and bigger, so extra storage is more useful now than ever. There's no wireless charging with this phone, which not really a big surprise, but we do have a fingerprint scanner right here on the power key, and we also got face unlock, so for security features, it's really good. Let's go ahead and give this fingerprint scanner a try and see how well it works. There we go, one more time. And there we go. So this fingerprint scanner is really fast and responsive. I would say more so than a lot of other fingerprint scanners. The other thing Samsung has been doing with the A series phones is putting the fingerprint scanner in the display instead. The A52, for example, has it like that. So I really like that look for aesthetics. I think it looks a lot cooler. But as far as functionality, you really can't beat the power key. It's just so fast. It's a lot faster than the in-display fingerprint scanner, and it's so much more practical. You're most likely going to be touching that button in order to unlock the phone anyway, just to wake up the display. So having it unlock as you're doing that is just two birds with one stone. It makes things a lot easier. We got a triple camera setup on the rear with a 48 megapixel main camera, a 5 megapixel ultra wide camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera. And let me tell you, these cameras are really good. The pictures they take are really impressive, and overall I am really satisfied with the quality. Now, the only thing it doesn't have is a macro camera, which I personally don't really think is a big deal. I don't even know anyone who uses a macro camera. It's more of a gimmicky feature that doesn't have much of a use. I think a telephoto lens would have been cool. I know the Samsung Galaxy A22 does have a telephoto lens, which took me by surprise because I had never seen that on a phone that's not a flagship phone before. But other than that, this phone has pretty much every feature you could ask for. So if you do like to take really nice pictures, this phone is going to be a good option. For video, this phone has a max quality of 1080p in the front-facing camera and 1152p or 2K in the rear camera. I personally don't understand the point of 2K. Usually if you're shooting anything above 1080p, it should be 4K. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense. I guess it's a little bit better than 1080p, but even when I view 2K videos on my computer that can actually show that resolution, it really doesn't look all that different. It doesn't look as good as 4K. It looks maybe a tiny bit better than 1080p, but for the trouble you have to go through to shoot that video and the space it takes up, I personally think it just makes sense to stick with 1080p or give it 4K like the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G has. But that's just my opinion. It is nice that it has another extra feature, I guess, as far as video goes, but 4K would have been nicer to see. Internally, this phone is getting 6 gigabytes of RAM with the MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G processor. Now, one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about the storage, this might be different for different variants of this phone. I know there are several, and carriers do have their own variants as well sometimes. So you might get a version with 64 gigabytes of internal storage and maybe 4 gigabytes of RAM, something like that. It really does depend on the carrier, and there are other variants out there already. For the purposes of this video, this specific variant of the phone in my hand does have 128 gigabytes of internal storage and 6 gigabytes of RAM, so keep that in mind. That being said, this processor is really impressive. In my opinion, this is the most impressive thing about the phone. In this price range, getting as much processing power as this phone has and 5G is just such a good deal. I ran a Geekbench 5 benchmark test on the phone, and it came back with a single core score of 561 and a multi-core score of 1726. So you're gonna be able to do pretty much anything you want on this phone, whether you're just doing basic activities like going on the web and browsing social media and that sort of thing, or if you're doing mobile gaming, video editing, it's going to be able to handle almost everything. Now, if you're doing really high-end stuff like high-performance gaming, video editing with large files and that sort of thing, it might struggle a little bit. It's not going to be as good as a flagship phone, of course. So if you're coming from a flagship phone like a Samsung Galaxy S series of some sort, then you might not get quite that performance. But compared to other phones in its price range, this phone is really impressive. What I would recommend doing is running a Geekbench 5 benchmark test on your current device and comparing it to these numbers to see if this phone would be an upgrade. But if you're coming from a mid-range phone, I'm guessing it probably will be. For the battery, this phone once again is really impressive with a 5000 milliamp hour battery that supports 15 watt fast charging. So not only are you gonna get amazing battery life, but you're also gonna be able to charge your phone faster. So if you have a more mobile lifestyle, where you have to use your phone heavily throughout the day but don't have a lot of time to charge it, then this is going to be the perfect phone for you, because even if you do run out of battery during the day, which is super unlikely because this battery is really large, you'll be able to charge it up faster, so you won't have to waste a lot of time waiting for your phone to get charged back up. This phone does have Android 11, by the way. I just have the Edge panel turned off. It came like that by default and I didn't bother turning it on, but if you do like the Edge panel, which most people do, it's really cool, you can always go into the settings and turn it on. Now we come to one thing I don't like about this phone, and that is the fact that it has no NFC. NFC is becoming so much more widely used these days, so I feel like every phone should have it. And in case you don't know, NFC is the technology behind Samsung Pay, Google Pay, if you have an iPhone, Apple Pay, all that sort of thing, contactless mobile payment services. It's such a nice feature that I personally use all the time. So when a phone doesn't have it, it's such a drawback to me. And I feel like a 5G phone made in 2021 with Android 11 and all the perks should have NFC. So I really don't know why Samsung didn't put that in this phone. So in conclusion, when you buy the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G, what kind of value are you getting? I feel like this phone is one of the most valuable phones that's come out this year. For the price, you're really getting so much. A 90Hz 1080p display that's a little bit bigger than average. Now, it's not that much bigger than average, but at the same time, it is a really large display that's gonna be great for content consumption. You also get 128 gigabytes of internal storage, a really nice fingerprint scanner and face unlock, all those good security options, a really powerful camera with a lot of good features that can take really professional looking pictures whether you want to post them on social media or you're doing something for a website, whatever the case may be, this camera can get the job done. You get a big battery, and of course my favorite feature of all about this phone, the processor is super powerful. You can do pretty much whatever type of activities you want on this phone without having to worry about its struggle. And even if you're just using the phone for basic activities like web browsing and social media, it's going to be so much faster and give you such a good experience compared to a lot of other phones that I feel like even then it's still worth it. So at the end of the day, if you're looking for a well-rounded 5G phone with a really powerful processor, nice camera, good display, large battery, all kinds of nice features, then the Samsung Galaxy A22 5G is going to be a good option. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you found this information useful as well. And if you happen to be watching this video after you bought it, be sure to watch my tips and tricks video and my beginner's guide so you can see some other features on this phone that you might not know about. But that's it for this video. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.